John Fury's a big bully, and big bullies need putting in their place. And if I'm the man that has to do it, I will do it. I don't want to beat an old man up. I don't want to start on a 60-year-old man. But when I look back, when I beat George Groves up in front of 80,000 fans at Wembley Stadium, rendering him unconscious, he was 11 years younger than me.
You know, let's put it this way. You've had plenty to say. I'll stand by every word I've said. You don't like me. Let's see what you can do about it. Hater versus top father.
I don't see the sense of it. What do you want to go sparring for? Behind closed doors? Let all the fans see it. Do it in a ring, get paid for it. I mean, it's been the biggest fight ever. Why do you want to do that? That's nonsense. It's stupid.
Carl Froch just dropped a heavyweight cold in sparring, and John Fury's reaction is absolutely wild. While everyone else is talking about how impressive that knockout looked, John Fury stepped up and basically said he doesn't give a D***amen about sparring knockouts. His exact words, "It won't help you, I am John Fury, the Gypsy King." Pure confidence, zero fear, and the kind of old-school mentality that makes you wonder if this man actually feels intimidation. But here's what's really crazy about this whole situation. Froch isn't some washed-up former champion looking for attention. This is a guy who knocked out Lucien Butte so hard that people are still watching the replay years later. And now, at his age, he's still dropping heavyweights in the gym like it's nothing.
Screaming and swearing, you saw it all. I did a response video, did very good numbers, thanks for watching. But yeah, he's since come back again. I thought he was going to go away and get quiet.
But get this, even at 46 years old, Carl Froch can still punch hard enough to shock professional fighters who aren't expecting that kind of power. David Hay pointed out something that most people are missing. Everyone's been underestimating what D***MN has left in the tank. That sparring knockout wasn't a fluke. His timing is still razor sharp, his strength hasn't disappeared, and his ring IQ is probably better now than it was during his championship days. You know what's wild? Experience combined with that kind of natural power creates a different kind of dangerous fighter. It's not the young, explosive athlete throwing wild shots. It's the calculated veteran who knows exactly when and where to place his punches for maximum damage. And that's exactly what John Fury is going to have to deal with if this fight actually happens.
He hits harder than people expect, I think. I think a lot of people, obviously, they pick up on his boxing and how good he is or boxing he is, but he hits harder than people expect.
And Dillian Whyte, obviously, I'm sure you've seen. Have you sparred Dillian?
I haven't. Dillian's like one fighter I haven't sparred in the UK, so yeah.
Well, surely you've seen plenty of his fights. How do you see the stylistic matchup playing out between the two?
Very good. Dillian's a good fighter. I mean, that's the thing. Dillian knows how to have a fight. It'll be good. I think I know how it turns out, but it'll be a good fight.
Here's where things get absolutely insane. Carl Froch isn't just talking trash from a distance. He's calling out John Fury directly, promising that when the bell rings, he's going to attack with everything he's got. Froch is framing this whole situation as him standing up to a bully, and he's made it clear that he's not intimidated by the Fury family name or John's reputation. Listen to this. Froch said he's going to set him straight in the ring. That's not the language of someone who's looking for a payday exhibition. That's someone who genuinely believes he can hurt John Fury and wants to prove it. The confidence is real, the motivation is personal, and at 46 years old, Froch is talking like he's got something to prove to the entire boxing world.
I feel like I might be the chosen one. I feel like it might be my job to finally shut this big gobshite up. All he does is run around, running his mouth, beating his chest, the ultimate man and all that bollocks. So John, for one final time, listen to me so it goes into that thick skull. I accept your challenge. But know one thing, when that first bell goes, I'm going to come over to your corner and absolutely stick it on you, Cobra style, and set about you and make a mess of you. You know why? Because you're a bully and you need putting in your place. You're a bully and you're making a mockery of the...
Now here's the kicker. Shannon Briggs jumped into this conversation and dropped some serious knowledge that changes everything. He pointed out that sparring knockdowns happen to everyone, even the best fighters in the world, and they don't tell the full story about what happens when the lights are on and the cameras are rolling. Briggs highlighted something crucial. What matters isn't what you do in training, it's how you perform when everything is on the line. But here's what makes this situation different. John Fury isn't intimidated by that sparring footage, and that tells you everything about his mindset. This isn't some fighter who's going to overthink what he saw or change his game plan because of a training session. This sets up a clash between two guys who genuinely believe they can hurt each other.
I'm hearing things that he's been dropped in the ring, in the gym and stuff like that, but that's okay too, because I took a couple spills, little slips in the ring, in the gym. That's okay, but we're gonna see. This is going.
Hold up, Derek Chisora added another layer to this that nobody's talking about. He reminded everyone that sparring knockouts don't always translate to real fights, and there's a massive difference between dropping someone in the gym and doing it under the bright lights. In training, fighters aren't at 100%. They're working on specific things, and sometimes they get caught off guard. But in a real fight, that's where experience, pressure management, and mental toughness become more important than raw power. Chisora knows this because he's been in there with everyone. John Fury understands this too, which explains why his reaction was so measured and confident. He's not worried about what happens in sparring because he knows the ring is a completely different animal.
So the guy you knocked out in sparring, he's understand, okay, I did this silly move, that's how I got knocked out. So I'm gonna have to stop doing these silly moves so I don't get knocked out. So when people come out and say, oh, I've knocked out in sparring, I stopped doing sparring.
But wait, it gets even more interesting. Eddie Hearn stepped into this situation and stressed just how dangerous this potential clash could actually be. Here's what Hearn sees that most people are missing. Carl Froch has the technical skills and ring intelligence, but John Fury brings size, raw aggression, and an unpredictability that could make this fight absolutely chaotic. Hearn hinted at something that should worry both fighters. In a real fight between these two, it wouldn't be about boxing technique or game plans. It would be about power, intimidation, and pure instinct taking over. Both men are dangerous in completely different ways. Froch can hurt you with precision and timing. John Fury can overwhelm you with size and relentless pressure. That combination makes this matchup as thrilling as it is completely unpredictable.
I would never back against Carl Froch on the cobbles. Ever. But John Fury's a big old lump. There'll be some illegal moves in there. Do you know what I mean? But if they ever get close...
Now listen to this part because this is where John Fury shows you exactly who he is. He laid it all out with one simple statement: Carl will be swinging. That's not trash talk, that's a promise. John Fury comes from the old school where men settled their problems in the ring, not on social media or through press conferences. He's describing himself as a true animal outside the spotlight, and honestly, that might be the most accurate description anyone's given of John Fury. Sparring knockouts don't intimidate this man because he's been in real fights his entire life. His confidence isn't manufactured for the cameras. His old-school toughness isn't an act. And his relentless mindset makes him a terrifying opponent for anyone, including a former world champion like Carl Froch.
Side, I'm an animal. I'm telling you now, people who know me, or the past, they're all dead who know me. Who could say he can fight? Outside he's an animal. They're all dead and gone. I'm from old school. I'm from the 70s, 80s and 90s, when men was men. We didn't talk down YouTube. So men made videos. We fought.
Here's where the psychology gets really fascinating. Carl Froch is sizing up John Fury, and he's doing it like the smart veteran he is. He's acknowledging the age gap, he's studying the experience differences, and he's calling John a big bully, but he's not backing down. Froch is reminding everyone of his knockout victories and his championship-level skills while still showing respect for what John brings to the table. But here's what's really interesting about Froch's approach. He's being calculating. This isn't emotional for him. He's studying John Fury like he studied Lucien Butte or George Groves. He sees the threat, he respects the danger, but he's confident in his own ability to handle whatever John brings. That mix of caution and confidence creates this incredible tension where you can see Froch is prepared to make a physical statement if necessary.
Back against Carl Froch on the cobbles. Ever. But John Fury's a big old lump. There'll be some illegal moves in there. Do you know what I mean? But if they ever get close, Carl will be swinging.
And get this, the respect between these two fighters is actually making this more dangerous, not less. When fighters hate each other, they sometimes make emotional mistakes. But when two experienced, dangerous men respect each other's abilities and still want to fight, that's when you get violence at the highest level. Froch acknowledges John's presence and reputation, but he's made it crystal clear that he's prepared to challenge the Gypsy King. You can see the drama building, the mutual respect creating tension, and the genuine threat both men pose to each other. This isn't manufactured beef for social media. This is two legitimate tough guys who believe they can hurt each other and want to prove it. The pre-fight narrative writes itself experience versus size, technique versus raw power, championship pedigree versus street-level toughness.
I'm an animal. I'm telling you now, people who know me, or the past, they're all dead who know me. Who could say he can fight outside?
So there you have it. A 46-year-old former world champion is dropping heavyweights in sparring and calling out the father of the heavyweight champion of the world. John Fury isn't backing down, Carl Froch isn't backing down, and everyone in boxing is watching to see if this actually happens. This isn't just about two fighters wanting to prove something. This is about old-school mentality meeting championship-level skill, and honestly, I think we're looking at a fight that could be absolutely brutal if it gets made. So here's my question for you, drop it in the comments. Who do you think wins if Carl Froch and John Fury actually step in the ring together? The former world champion with the technical skills and knockout power, or the old-school street fighter with the size and relentless aggression? If this breakdown helped you understand what's really building between these two, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell because this situation is getting more intense by the day. I'll see you in the next one.
He hits harder than people expect, I think a lot of people, obviously, they pick up on his boxing and how good of a boxer he is, but he hits harder than people expect.
And Dillian Whyte, obviously, I'm sure you've seen. Have you sparred Dillian?
I haven't.
But here's something that'll blow your mind. John Fury isn't just some random tough guy making noise. This man has legitimate boxing credentials that most people completely overlook. Before he was known as Tyson's father, John Fury was an undefeated professional heavyweight who could actually fight. We're talking about someone who went 13-4-1 as a pro, with victories over guys who had real experience. His loss to Neil Malpass, that was after serving 4 years in prison. The man came back and still showed he belonged in professional boxing. So when Carl Froch is sizing up John Fury, he's not looking at some street fighter pretending to be a boxer. He's facing someone who actually knows how to use the ring.
He hits harder than people expect, I think a lot of people, obviously, they pick up on his boxing and how good of a boxer he is, but he hits harder than people expect.
And Dillian Whyte.
And this is where it gets absolutely wild. John Fury's prison background isn't just some tough guy story for the cameras. This man did serious time and came out harder than when he went in. Prison changes fighters in ways that gym wars never could. It's one thing to get knocked down in sparring and get back up. It's completely different to survive years in an environment where showing weakness could cost you everything. That mental toughness that John Fury developed. That's not something you can train for in any boxing gym. Carl Froch has championship experience, but John Fury has survival experience. And in a real fight between these two, that psychological edge could be the difference maker.
Like I might be the chosen one. Feel like it might be my job to finally shut this big gobshite up. All he does is run around, running his mouth, beating his chest, the ultimate man and all that bollocks.
Now check this out. The age factor everyone keeps talking about might actually favor John Fury in ways nobody's considering. Yeah, Carl Froch is 46, but John Fury is 59 years old and still moving around like a man 20 years younger. Think about what that means. While Froch has been retired and doing commentary, John Fury has been staying active, staying hungry, and maintaining that aggressive edge that made him dangerous in the first place. Age affects different fighters in different ways. Some lose their reflexes, some lose their power, and some lose their desire. But John Fury? This man seems to be getting more confident and more dangerous as he gets older.
Like I might be the chosen one. Feel like it might be my job to finally shut this big gobshite up. All he does is run around, running his mouth, beating his chest, the ultimate man and all that bollocks. So John, for one final time, listen to me so it goes into that thick skull. I accept your challenge, but know one thing. When that first bell goes, I'm going to come over to your corner and absolutely stick it on you, Cobra style, and set about you and make a mess of you. You know why? Because you're a bully and you need putting in your place.
But wait, there's another layer to this that's absolutely fascinating. The Fury family dynamics add a pressure element that Carl Froch has never had to deal with. When you're fighting John Fury, you're not just fighting one man, you're challenging the entire Fury legacy. Tyson Fury is watching, Tommy Fury is watching, and the entire Fury camp knows that if something happens to John, it becomes family business. That's a different kind of pressure than anything Froch experienced as world champion. Championship fights have pressure, but family honor. That's life and death intensity that can push fighters to do things they never thought possible.
He hits harder than people expect, I think a lot of people, obviously, they pick up on his boxing and how good of a boxer he is, but he hits harder than people expect.
And Dillian Whyte, obviously, I'm sure you've seen. Have you sparred Dillian?
I haven't. Dillian's like one fighter I haven't sparred in the UK, so yeah.
Here's what's really crazy about the sparring knockout that started this whole situation. The heavyweight that Froch dropped wasn't some amateur or journeyman. This was a legitimate professional fighter who didn't see that shot coming. But here's what John Fury understands that most people miss. Sparring knockouts happen when fighters aren't expecting them. In a real fight, John Fury would be expecting everything Carl Froch could throw. He'd be mentally prepared for power, he'd be physically ready for violence, and he'd be emotionally locked in for war. That changes everything about how punches land and how much damage they actually do.
Like I might be the chosen one. I feel like it might be my job to finally shut this big gobshite up. All he does is run around, running his mouth, beating his chest, the ultimate man and all that bollocks. So John, for one final time, listen to me so it goes into that thick skull. I accept your challenge, but know one thing. When that first bell goes...
And get this, Carl Froch's motivation for this potential fight goes deeper than just proving he can still compete. This is about legacy protection. Froch spent his entire career building a reputation as one of the toughest, most dangerous super middleweights in boxing history. If John Fury challenges that reputation and Froch doesn't respond, it damages everything he built. So this isn't just about two tough guys wanting to fight. This is about Carl Froch protecting decades of work and John Fury trying to prove that the Fury family doesn't back down from anyone, regardless of their championship pedigree. Now here's where the technical breakdown gets really interesting. Carl Froch's style has always been about pressure, power, and breaking down opponents over time. He's not a flashy boxer who relies on speed or movement. He's a grinder who walks forward, absorbs punishment, and delivers devastating shots when opportunities present themselves. That style actually matches up perfectly with what John Fury brings to the table. John isn't going to try to outbox Froch or dance around the ring. He's going to stand right in front of him and trade shots until someone goes down. That's a recipe for absolute chaos and the kind of fight that ends with someone getting seriously hurt. But check this out. The size difference between these two creates a dynamic that could completely change how this fight plays out. John Fury is a legitimate heavyweight with a reach and size advantage, while Carl Froch is a natural super middleweight who's used to being the bigger, stronger fighter. In a real fight, Froch would be dealing with punches coming from angles and distances he's not used to. John Fury's jab alone could control the entire fight if he uses it correctly. That size advantage isn't just about power, it's about leverage, reach, and the ability to dictate range and timing. And here's something that should worry Carl Froch. John Fury's unpredictability makes him incredibly dangerous for any fighter, but especially for someone who relies on timing and precision. Froch built his career on reading opponents, understanding their patterns, and exploiting their weaknesses. But John Fury doesn't fight with textbook technique or predictable patterns. He fights with raw instinct, emotional intensity, and the kind of chaotic energy that can disrupt even the most experienced fighters' game plans. When you can't predict what your opponent is going to do, your technical advantages become much less important. Now listen to this part because it reveals something crucial about both fighters. The trash talk between Froch and John Fury has been respectful but serious. There's no manufactured drama, no fake beef created for social media attention. Both men are acknowledging each other's abilities while making it clear they're prepared for violence. That kind of genuine respect mixed with legitimate intent to do damage creates the most dangerous fights in boxing. These aren't two guys trying to sell pay-per-views with fake animosity. These are two legitimate tough guys who genuinely believe they can hurt each other and want the opportunity to prove it. But here's what makes this potential fight absolutely fascinating from a historical perspective. We're looking at a clash between two different eras of toughness. Carl Froch represents the modern professional boxer, technically sound, professionally trained, with world-class experience and championship-level skills. John Fury represents old-school street-level toughness, raw, unrefined, but absolutely genuine in ways that can't be taught or manufactured. When these two approaches to fighting collide, you get something special that doesn't happen often in modern boxing. And get this, the training approaches these two would take for this fight would be completely different, and that creates another layer of intrigue. Carl Froch would approach this like the professional he is, studying tape, working on specific techniques, preparing for John's size and style with scientific precision. John Fury would prepare like the warrior he is, staying in fighting shape, maintaining his aggressive edge, and trusting his instincts to carry him through whatever Froch brings. One fighter would be trying to solve John Fury like a puzzle, while the other would be preparing to overwhelm Froch with pure intensity and will. Here's where the mental game becomes absolutely crucial. Carl Froch has been in the biggest fights, on the biggest stages, with millions of people watching and championship belts on the line. That experience managing pressure and performing under extreme circumstances is invaluable. But John Fury has been in real-life situations where losing meant more than just a defeat on a scorecard. His ability to function under life-and-death pressure brings a different kind of mental toughness that championship experience can't replicate. Both men have proven they can perform when everything is on the line, but they've proven it in completely different ways. Now here's something that could determine the entire fight: conditioning and durability. Carl Froch built his reputation on being able to absorb tremendous punishment and keep coming forward. His wars with George Groves, Mikkel Kessler, and others proved he could take the best shots from elite fighters and still find ways to win. But John Fury's durability comes from a different place. His toughness isn't just physical, it's mental, emotional, and spiritual. He's proven he can endure things that would break most people, and that kind of internal strength often translates to incredible physical resilience in the ring. And check this out, the aftermath of this potential fight could be more significant than the fight itself. If Carl Froch wins, he proves that championship-level skill and professional training can overcome raw toughness and size advantages. If John Fury wins, he establishes himself as more than just Tyson's father. He becomes a legitimate tough guy who backed up his words against a former world champion. Either outcome would send shockwaves through the boxing world and change how people view both fighters forever. But here's what's really wild about this whole situation. The boxing community is split on who would actually win this fight, and that uncertainty is what makes it so compelling. You've got former champions, current fighters, and boxing experts all giving different predictions based on completely valid arguments. Some see Froch's technical superiority and championship experience as decisive advantages. Others see John Fury's size, toughness, and unpredictability as factors that could neutralize Froch's skills. That level of genuine uncertainty creates the kind of anticipation that makes fights legendary before they even happen. So here we are, watching two legitimate tough guys circle each other like apex predators, both confident they can handle whatever the other brings, both prepared to prove it in the most violent way possible. Carl Froch dropping heavyweights in sparring wasn't just a training moment, it was a statement. John Fury's response wasn't just confidence, it was a declaration. And now the entire boxing world is waiting to see if these two actually step in the ring together and settle this the only way fighters know how.